John chapter 6 verse 1. We are now in Kuala Lumpur, the biggest city for sure here in Malaysia. They actually have two capitals. That building there in the back, I think you can see it, is the Merdeka Tower. That's the second tallest building in the world. And KL is known for its famous tall buildings. The tower is over there, and there's another tall building over there, and then in Petronas Towers is the highest twin towers in the world, and I will do some recording there as well. There's a beautiful waterfall here, kind of, but it's just the music and everything that just stopped. Maybe they will start again, but it's kind of late. And there's some very beautiful lights with a staircase going up. Very beautiful at night, but at the moment as well, there's no real lights. Last year it was like lights changing and really like beautiful. But anyhow, still you can get a glimpse maybe now and then from the train passing here. And we're standing in front of the Lalaport, pretty big shopping center here as well. And my favorite shop, the jigsaw puzzle shop is in here. Well, at least they were. I guess they're still here. And there's a few other shopping centers around. Okay, so let's read the verse. Verse 1. John chapter 6 verse 1. After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. So after this is what happened in the previous chapter, right? About this, after this. So, right, he had this whole discussion in the previous chapter. He first healed the man there at the pool in Bethesda in Jerusalem. And then that led to the discussion about Jesus being, basically calling himself God, right? Equal to the Father. And they wanted to stone him. And he spoke about all the deeds, the signs, right, for which works. And he spoke about the things witnessing concerning him, that he is who he is. Right, and this is what he was, what he did. And after this, now he is going to continue with his teaching. In the previous chapter, in chapter 5, he asked about Moses, right? And this chapter is going to continue kind of some of the deeds that Moses did. Okay. Like in the previous chapter, he said that Moses spoke about me. And so in this chapter, he's now going to continue with that idea of how the deeds that Moses did, right? And actually to what they pointed. So, this is afterwards that he's speaking of. So you're going to the Sea of Galilee, which, sea-wise, it's not really a sea. It's not huge. In Siberia, I lived in a village which I think the lakes there were like either the same size or bigger than the Sea of Galilee. And actually kind of at certain times of the year when it was not frozen in the summertime, they were quite kind of big, but nothing really scary, but kind of sort of big waves on this lake, on these lakes as well. But the one thing one just always need to remember is the fact that if you live in a dry area, you're not used to a lot of water, then even a swimming pool might look like a sea to you. So just to put things into perspective, why people would call something a sea or not call something a sea, right? So the Sea of Galilee, Sea of Tiberias. Why both names? Because I would say that the people to whom he wrote, as I say, the leadership there in Jerusalem, would most likely have known this better by the Greek, the Roman name of this place, because they tried to fit in with the Romans. So the Sea of Tiberias, that is why. So the Sea of Galilee is what the local people would call it, but the Sea of Tiberias is in what the people most likely there in Jerusalem, the leadership, people in that upper class would have called him. I remember once I was I had to go. I had to leave Russia for a while to get a new visa to go back into Russia, and as God would say, there's a mission I worked with. They had a 75-year celebration there in Switzerland, and they asked me to translate Russian English, and so they paid for everything, and I went there. And one day we had this trip to Geneva. We went to look at all the places where Calvin was, and World Health Organization, Red Cross, where that started in the church, kind of. I was taking photos there at this at the park where there's the 4 statues of Calvin, Knox, and the other guys there. And as I was following, the others walked off, and I was like going to catch up, but then a thunderstorm broke out, and I had to hide away from this from the rain, and so they disappeared, and I couldn't find them. And but I know that we were supposed to get a boat there at Lake Geneva, and then catch. So I was just okay. All I can do is I need to get to Lake Geneva. So I started asking. First, I just walked, and I thought, like in the direction of, couldn't find the place, the lake, lo and behold. And I started asking people, where's Lake Geneva? And it's only then that I learned that actually one person there, or I think it was American, he told me that don't ask for Lake Geneva, you need to ask for Lac Le Mans. It's like, okay, because that is what the people in Geneva call them, right? So kind of something that is happening here as well, just to give you an explanation of why some call it Sea of Tiberias, others call it the Sea of Galilee. Verse 2, and the large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Right, so lots of people following. Why were they following? Like we've seen in chapter 2 as well. Jesus didn't entrust himself to them. Why? Because they believed because of the signs. Right here as well, they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Now, Jesus hasn't done a lot of signs to the sick yet, at least not according to the Gospel of John, but we know from other Gospels that he did. Right, so because of these signs they were following. We know John didn't write everything up. He chose certain signs so as to prove ultimately, or use it as well as a teaching moment. Okay, so verse 3. Jesus went up on the mountain and there he sat down with his disciples. Right, so ultimately this is what he's doing. Okay, we went up this onto the mountain and sat down. Okay, now interesting part, that part of the world these days it's like kind of in the Golan Heights, which is sort of under Israel control, where most likely if Jesus was around these days he would not be able to go to that part and teach there because of the fact that these areas like kind of a no-go zone at the moment. Okay, but this is then ultimately where we went, up in the mountain. Okay, so these are as well closer to Lebanon, Syria on one side, Lebanon on the other side, up to Mount Hermon, the highest, the tallest mountains in that area.